As-Salaamu Alaikum Family. Thank you guys for being patient. I'm currently traveling, so being in motion put me off for a few minutes. But I do want to do this presentation tonight to help everybody get a clear picture of the activity of two individuals that has been garnering some attention that is completely baseless and false in reference to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. There are several other things that have been said that don't really concern me. They can be handled by other people. But the accusations that Pharaoh and Seti have made against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they are unjust to the audience that is listening who knows nothing of the past. Most of these young people are not going to do any extensive research. They're going to trust that Pharaoh and Seti are sharing things with them that are accurate. And Pharaoh and Seti are not sharing things with them that are accurate. And I'm usually busy doing what I need to do and not paying attention to YouTube. My first impression of Pharaoh is that, yeah, he's a young person. I first saw him dealing with a polite issue, and it seemed like he was trying to deal with integrity and bringing integrity into that particular situation. And so I just left it at that. I don't watch his videos. I have watched some videos in the sense of seeing things that he has done. And so my thoughts of him before this situation with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was, yeah, he's cool. We have had personal correspondence, and it was about him getting research. And I was unable to send him some things that I was supposed to send him. That's not important, except for the fact that that was the only time I had personal interaction with him. And again, it seemed like he was thirsty for knowledge. And so that's it. And so when I saw him calling the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad a pedophile, it was the thought that I had in my head is, oh wow, somebody got to this young brother and just confused him, you know. And I know he's hanging around Seti, and Seti is known for provocateur type behavior for whatever purposes. And so my thought was, okay, is Seti influencing him? Let me drop something so he could stop calling the messenger a pedophile, because obviously he doesn't know anything about the scenario behind these wives. And also I observed, as I stated in the other video, that he was having some issues with our brother Ben X, which I thought was just young people jealousy kind of thing going on. And so now, since I did the video, just paying attention to what's going on, I can see what the problem is. I can see what the problem is. All right. And so let me break down to you before I show you that Malcolm X is a certified liar. And let me say this. I will have absolutely no chill on Malcolm X tonight. If you are a Malcolm X fan, I'm sorry. This is the wrong place for you. All right. Although I am appreciative of the contributions of any Black person who stands up, any Aboriginal, any original man or woman who stands up for the struggle and liberation of our people, I also am very aware that some of us, we're not serious. All right. We're not serious. And one of the unfortunate things that happens to us as a result of our ancestors going through what we go through, we become psychologically unstable and insecure people. And so Malcolm X, Pharaoh, whoever else, I'm going to put y'all in the same category tonight. And I'm going to show you things that I dealt with 11 years ago. Everything that I told you the last time about my research at the Schoenberg Museum and how I did trips to the Malcolm X exhibit, I have things that you just don't have. As a matter of fact, things I got from that exhibit only hit online after I was doing those particular tours and that research. And anybody who was in Harlem during that time, all the way back, let's go further back to 2003 to 2007. All right. They know I did those tours. Some of the people were with me on those particular tours, and the personal letters and other things that are, of course, now digitized and online, you couldn't get some of these particular things. But I'm going to show you, without a doubt, not only that Malcolm X was not telling the truth, that he was lying. Okay, not only was he lying, he was maliciously attempting to overthrow his teacher. That was his intent. He was maliciously, and the malice came as a result of his feeling that he should be afforded more attention and power than he actually was able to handle. And he proved it. He proved it in his lifetime. He proved it. Secondly, Elijah Muhammad had absolutely nothing to do with the death of Malcolm X. You probably heard that before, right? But I want you to think logically about the situation. Think reasonably about the situation after we present the information that we have. I'll just throw some preliminary points out at you. Elijah Muhammad, unless he had telepathic powers where he could create mind control over Malcolm X or his security team, there was no way he could create a scenario where they were not searching. There's no way. How could Elijah Muhammad determine that? How could Elijah Muhammad determine inside of Malcolm's camp that there will be no person on the front door? How could Elijah Muhammad determine whether someone would be on post at a certain time? How could Elijah Muhammad determine that those gentlemen would know that there would be no search and bring guns in? Whoever knew that there would be no search had a direct connection to the people who brought guns in. How come our people are this slow? You want to know why? Because you're just what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, mentally dead. Anybody with any level of intelligence can put the footprints of what happened in February of 1965 exactly where they belong at. It was U.S. intelligence agencies and local law enforcement that carried out and used black faces to carry out the assassination on Malcolm X, period. Now, let me say this so that you really understand the importance of a nation. Every nation has killers. Every nation has killers. So I'm saying to you, the level of disrespect that Malcolm X showed, if Elijah Muhammad had orchestrated or ordered his murder, he would not have been wrong. You have your own indigenous or aboriginal nation that is separate from everybody else, and they have their own laws and rules. And if Malcolm X breached the law in that egregious way, by meddling in the affairs of another man's household to the degree that he tried to destroy the man and slander the man, he deserved death. That's if the most honorable Elijah Muhammad would have orchestrated that. And let me say something too to you grown men out here. See, because I don't have to I thank Brother Ben X and Brother Rizza and any of the other FOIs who are under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for sharing what they shared in the way that they shared, because I'm pretty sure that's how the most honorable, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will want you to share it. And I appreciate that, because that's the example. I have a whole different, another example. And I'm not going to apologize for it. The example is this, or the tone is this. Is spirituality is making black men retarded. Men deal with reality. We don't deal with spirituality. Spirituality is for women and children. And so spirituality plus your Grecian, Roman, American concept of democracy is what makes young Pharaoh think he can come make an egregious statement about a real Pharaoh and feel comfortable that he's safe and okay. It is the philosophical bullshit that America is founded on, which is fake democracy coming out of Greece and Rome, that gave you the power to speak about a person like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad in the way that you did. Let's go in a time machine back to ancient Kemet, and let's let you speak to Thutmose III about his great grandfather the way that you have about the honorable Elijah Muhammad. There was no democracy. Ancient Kemet was a theocratic entity, and the pharaoh was the head, godlike head. And although they had local gnomes with law enforcement in those gnomes, Pharaoh, if you were to open your mouth about a deceased ancestor in the way that you did without supporting facts, your head would have been on the meiotic chopping block. So I want you to thank white people for giving you your First Amendment to disrespect a man with no sources and no proof, because white people are the ones that are protecting you right now. They gave you those rights to speak ill of your own brother with no proof. And it's Grecian democracy that's supporting you. Because in a world of Mayat, your locks would have been connected to your head, which would have been disconnected from your body. Because all we ask you to do, brother, is bring the proof. That's all we asked you to do. You accuse a man of the caliber of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad of being a pedophile. And you went as far as to say the words of the women who are the primary source of information do not matter. And instead, you chose Malcolm X's word over them. So what I'm about to do right now is I'm about to dismantle completely Malcolm X's word from his own mouth. I'm not going to use the women. We already used the women. We already offered you an olive branch. We already offered you an olive branch. So how are you going to look when I prove to you from Malcolm X's own hand that it was he? I'm going to say it again. It was he who had a relationship with Evelyn first. It was Malcolm who was committing fornication, not with teenage secretaries. Not with teenage secretaries. By the time these women were reporting what they were reporting, they were in their 30s. Pharaoh, it was Malcolm who knew Lucille and Evelyn. It was Malcolm who was attempting to have multiple relationships with these women back in 1959. It was Malcolm who knew why two of these women were marched out of the mosque. And it was directly related to him and had nothing to do with the messenger. All right? All right, so now let me show you what Malcolm X is about. Because all you Malcolm lovers out there, let me break this down even further. For those of you who think I'm tripping, let me describe Malcolm X to you. You know what Malcolm X is? Malcolm X is a man who had the gift of gab and regurgitation. That's what Malcolm X was. And there are lots of you out here right now. People get tickled in their ears when they hear you, because you can repeat what somebody else who's really great has as far as information. You can regurgitate it. And it can make you famous. You could get 100,000 followers, 1 million followers, because you're a good regurgitator and you got the gift of gab. But your heart is empty and you're a chump. And if tested, you will fold every time. We can see you as you talking, what kind of character you have, and we know you will fold. And it's easy to hide behind the internet now. Anybody can get a huge following by doing live videos. But you know, in your last breath, you would never utter. I don't care if you white, black, Asian, whoever. If you saw one FOI or 1,000, you would never come out of your mouth in front of a FOI and call that man a pedophile in front of us and live. Never. But it's easy to hide behind these damn keyboards. And so see this new spiritual, new age, whatever this stuff is, this is making you black men crazy. And that's why I'm encouraging black men, leave spirituality for women and children. That's who it's for. Men deal with reality. And if you had real facts, then it wouldn't be an argument. But since you had none and you open your big mouth, now we're about to make you look more stupid than you have ever looked in your whole life. So let me share Malcolm's own words. Let me show you. Let me show you what kind of man Malcolm was. Just because somebody got the gift of gab don't mean nothing. What does that mean? That don't mean anything. You got the gift of gab. And let me show you. Malcolm knew why these women were put out of the Nation of Islam. The two of them that were. Now, listen, some of you are going to get mad at me because of what I have to show you. Because some of these people are alive. Yes, the messenger had wives, and some of the women who are saying they were his wives were not. All right, so let me read what I have here, because this is going to be very, very brief and to the point, because it doesn't take a long time to tell the truth. Hold on. I dealt with this 11 years ago. Now y'all bringing the same silly, dumb argument up. And I'll make it big enough so you can see it. This is Malcolm X's own words. Do you think he didn't know these women? Are you kidding me, man? And I'm upset with some of the elders. Why didn't y'all pull this brother to the side? Not even brother. Excuse me. He's not a brother. Why didn't y'all pull this dude to the side and tell him about this before? Y'all got these letters. We didn't exchange. I exchanged these letters with so many FOIs. Some of y'all so far got your nose up L. Ron Hubbard ass and Arab's ass. Y'all don't even know how to defend your own messenger. Look at what this says. This is from Malcolm X. March 25th. When? 1959. This is 1959. In the holy name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, to whom all praise is due, whom we forever thank for giving us the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now look, listen to what this man says. He's talking about his personal life. And look, this is no shot on Betty Shabazz. This is no shot on any other women. I'm only showing this to protect the messenger of Allah, period. All right? I'm not tearing down Malcolm. Malcolm tore himself down. I do not like to burden you with personal troubles of my own, but I feel obligated to you to enclose the facts that are contained in this letter. It is you, thanks to Allah, who made me what I am today. And I owe my life and my entire being to you, even though I know all praise is due to Allah. Therefore, since you are responsible for me, I owe it to you to let you know my condition, his condition, both good and bad. So now he's ratting on himself because he's known he's done something. What has he done? At all times. And this I have tried to do ever since I've been following you. That is why my letters often are very long. I never want to displease you. I did not give you all the facts of my domestic affairs. You once told me that you judge according to the facts presented to you, thinking that as a man, a Muslim, and as a minister, that I was automatically responsible and to blame for whatever condition my domestic affairs have fallen to. I in no way said anything at any time to make my wife look bad or to make her look to blame. But in attempting to carry the complete load with no explanation whatsoever of what made me act as I have, I now see would be doing myself some injustice. Now look at this. Listen to what he's about to say. Listen to what he's about to say. I have never made love to Sister Lucille. All right, so now we have this Lucille. I'm going to show you who this is. Nor to Minister Robert's sister, Betty Sue. I did propose marriage to Sister Betty Sue. This is not Betty Shabazz. This is another woman. But never made love to her. Nor do I think that I ever even told her that I loved her. My proposal was governed by a suggestion to me, but when I learned it to be only a suggestion, I quickly tried to get out of it, for which I recognize my error in building her hopes. Of the above sisters, Sister Evelyn is the only one who had a legitimate beef against me. What was her beef? You had sex with her, Malcolm. That's what her beef was. That's why when Carl Evans wrote the book, he said that witnesses said that Sister Evelyn, when he found out Malcolm married Sister Betty Shabazz, she ran out of the mosque crying. And I do bear witness that if she complains, she is justified. Complains of what? You fornicated with her. You fornicated with her. And also Betty Sue for me breaking my word. So this is him explaining his life. Now hold on. This is 1959 when these women were walked out of the mosque, specifically Lucille and Evelyn. In 1959, I want to ask you a question. What were they marched out for? Malcolm came back and tried to make it look like they were marched out because they had children with the messenger illegitimately. And that was not the case. So Malcolm, I have a question for you. I have a question for you. All right? I have a question for you. If Evelyn or Lucille were teenage secretaries, what the hell were you doing running around fornicating with one of them? Or attempting to be with one, even though you admitted to not having sex with one of them. All right. Hold on. I'm not done. I'm not done. Because if you know what? It hurts. Because you know why? People want Elijah Muhammad to be wrong. You want the messenger to be wrong. This is not, I'm gonna show, this is not no fake letter. You could get this letter directly from the Schoenberg. And I'm about to read the rest of it. But let me show you who he's talking about. Let me show you physically who is being mentioned in this letter so that you don't get confused. Since y'all want to try to air out some dirty laundry, y'all want to air out dirty laundry? Really? All right. The messenger don't have no dirty laundry. What dirty laundry does the messenger have? If it is, it's so far removed from when he was in the grave before he got taught by the Mahdi that it's gone. So give me a moment because I'm going to open up every file on you. I'm not going to leave you no space to say I made a mistake. Not one, no space. Let me open up these files. I want to show you who he's talking about. Here we go. Here we go. I'm not leaving you no space. And yes, this is uncomfortable, right? Because here's the whole issue. Let me show you what the whole issue is about. The whole issue is about this. If men mind their business, none of this ever has to come into the public. We don't discuss the affairs of other men's households. But since now it's all out and it's on the news and you got our messenger plastered up as a pedophile, right? And you're not the first. Now we're going to just air the whole thing out. It's already out here anyway. I ain't teaching you, I ain't telling you nothing that ain't already out here. These are the two women. Now, this is no disrespect to these women. I don't play around with messing around with women and children. All right? I don't do that. But I got to show these pictures. This is the Lucille that he's talking about, who in this picture in 1964 is 33 years old. And this is Evelyn, the one who wanted to marry Malcolm, right? And Malcolm admits in this letter that he didn't have sex with her. Although he approached her, he didn't have sex with Betty Sue, whom he would promise to marry, but he did violate this young Muslim woman. Now, in the picture, Evelyn Williams is 30 years old in 1964. Back it up 5 years to 1959 on this letter. How old was she? She was 25 when Malcolm was messing with her. So Malcolm tried to come back and act like these were teenage women. Where are the teenage girls? Malcolm? It wasn't Sister Ola. It wasn't Sister Jean. It definitely wasn't Clara. The youngest one was Mother Tynetta, who was born in 1941. Had her first child at 23 years old, Ishmael Muhammad. She was not a teenager when she started interacting with the messenger as a wife. So you say, okay, well, she was in her early 20s and the messenger at the time was in his mid 60s, right? That's what you're going to propose now. So let me lay down the fact. Hold on. Before you get off of this and y'all start diverting, let me lay down the fact. Let me lay down the fact. Because this is the problem. Let me lay down the fact. Hold on. The fact is, I'm going to find it. Hold on. Give me a moment. It's a whole bunch of stuff on this computer right now. It's going crazy. The fact is, you, Pharaoh, all right? You, Pharaoh, you lied on the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. You lied in the public. I attempted to show you politely last time that you were wrong. And now you saying, I'm not backing down from nothing that I said. What you gonna do now? What you gonna do now? There were no underage girls. There were no teenage secretaries. And if Malcolm is saying, why did Elijah Muhammad choose Mother Tanetta, who was in her 20s, and he was 60 years old or a little older? Why did he choose her? What the hell is that your business? We could get into the science of why he did what he did, but what is that your business that you have to do with another man and his selection of another adult woman? Malcolm X lied. He never came out and told the public, oh, I fornicated with Evelyn and I admitted it to the messenger 5 years ago. He never said that. He never said that, oh, Evelyn was the one that wanted to marry me, but I ended up marrying Betty, who I didn't like. I'm about to show you what he said. And these are actually Malcolm's own problems. If he would have kept his mouth shut, he could have dealt with his own problems and it would have been cool. Or even if there was a little bit of a hiccup, it wouldn't have got to the level that he allowed it to get. I'm going to show you what Malcolm's problem was. You see, men who have the problem that Malcolm have, right? This is what they do. I'm about to show you. But Malcolm knew there were no teenage secretaries. Malcolm wanted to slander the Honorable Elijah Muhammad because Malcolm was angry. And Malcolm felt that he could do a better job than the messenger. And that is y'all conscious community Negro problems. Y'all look at people and try to size people up as if you think that you could do a better job than somebody else who might have that actual job. That's their purpose. And so now you got a whole bunch of men chicken fighting like women over what? You crying and moaning and bitching about people getting killed. Men do that all the time in nations. Somebody get out of line or you got an enemy, they get killed. But you're so filled with estrogen that you want to run into the public just like Malcolm and speak ill of a good brother. And if somebody watches this video and they get past my little bit of compassion, they're going to see that you're a certified fruit ball. Because we tried to give you the olive branch. The olive branch was, go look up the information, brother. You didn't said an egregious thing about the most important black man in black history. You didn't came out your mouth totally wrong, but you're young. We're going to give you a pass. Go look at it. But you let the other dude amp you up, right? And now you're out here and you slandered the Honorable Elijah Muhammad with no sources. You completely slandered him. And now you discredited the women themselves and chose to favor Malcolm's word. Now I'm going to take Malcolm's word and turn it against you to show you how much of a chump Malcolm X was. Then what you going to do? Then what you going to do? Keep riding this sack? All right. Let's keep reading. And excuse me if this is out of posture a little bit. It needs to be out of posture a little bit. Because you can't deal with these type of niggas with no civilized activity. Because they don't care nothing about civilized activity. If they did, they would have came with sources before they go and say such an egregious thing about a man like Elijah Muhammad. So he fornicated with Evelyn and was pursuing the two women that ended up filing paternity cases against the messenger. Malcolm was the one who was messing around with them in 1959. So how is Malcolm going to get up behind a microphone with the devil and say, look at how he marched those women out. First of all, Elijah Muhammad didn't march nobody out. You're the cause for those women getting marched out, bruh. And you know, when you went back, this was your way to try to get an apology and forgiveness from the messenger for what you did. So let's keep going. Most brothers who follow you are slow to get married. This is not because they are against women, but because you make us see the place. Look, you make us see the place of the man and the great responsibility involved. You knew he was a responsible man, and he was teaching y'all responsibility to a sister after marrying her. If a brother means right by a believing sister, he has to move slowly to keep from involving himself in a role that he can't fulfill to the sister's satisfaction. And one's eyes don't have to be too far open to see that it is no easy task to satisfy women of today. This creates a situation where the sisters are more forward and aggressive in seeking husbands than the brothers are in seeking wives. I mentioned this not out of argument, disrespect, disagreement, nor to justify, but to point toward and shed more light on what created my own situation. I am not without blame or fault and have many weaknesses. You once told me 5 years ago that one didn't hunt wild game in the thick brush and not get one's hunting suit torn or one's flesh scratched. And most of my humble efforts have been in the thickest of brush among the wildest of game. Only Allah has saved me from being scrambled and wounded unto death. That's not all. Let me show you what Malcolm X's problem was. Let me show you what Malcolm X's problem was. All y'all who chasing after Malcolm, right? You're chasing after Malcolm. You love Malcolm. Malcolm was so moral. Malcolm was trying to get his teacher to be moral. And he was questioning, he could not even think about questioning the morality of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Let me break something down to you real quick before I keep going. Elijah Muhammad was on the run from 1935 to 1942. Show us one woman in those 7 years that he was running through the cities, establishing mosques, who made a claim that he fornicated or cheated. Show us one. Show us throughout all the 1950s. He's the head of the institutions. Show us the women that would come forth. So you mean to tell me a man in his 30s in the 30s, 40s in the 40s, and 50s in the 50s, during that time where his testosterone was way higher, is going to wait till he gets 60 to attempt to start fornicating, and there's no record of him doing it before? Man, y'all stupid. There's no other word for you. Right now, you're plain stupid. You can't even be classified as intelligent anymore. Hold up. Can't be classified as intelligent. Let's keep reading. Look at Malcolm. This is his words. These are his words. I stayed single a long time because I knew my own weaknesses and shortcomings and felt that marriage would blunt my effectiveness. I just could not see where I could devote the time to a sister that is demanded by the women of today. So I ducked, dodged, twisted, turned, and ran from marriage as long as I could. When I did marry it, was at a time of great mental and spiritual weakness on my part. He's talking about 1958 with Betty Shabazz. All right. Why was he weak? Because he was fornicating. That's why he was weak. He was not on his deen. He had already disappointed a young sister named Evelyn, who was 25 years old, who wanted to marry him. Despite that, I didn't marry on the spur of the moment, as everyone thought. No one knows better than how I forward, fast, and aggressive even a Muslim sister can be. All right? How forward, fast, and aggressive even a Muslim sister can be. Excuse me. And I was the target increasingly, and not because I gave them hopes, as they now would have it seen, as they now would have it seen, as they now would have it seen. They who? The multiple women he just mentioned. He's telling on himself. But I did see that I was weakening under the strain, and at that time I wrote and told you. So I decided to get married. I didn't marry on the spur of the moment. I deliberated long and selected carefully. I chose Betty over the others for many reasons. And even right now, I think she beats all the rest of them. She was physically strong, near my height, looked something like me, and seemed to be able to produce children that would be strong and resemble us both. Plus, she seemed intelligent and had training qualifications that could be helpful to me in my work. And she was the darkest of the three. All right? She was the darkest of the three. So he's telling you the women he was dealing with. And I don't go too much for real light women as a wife. All right? So now he's about to start talking about his marriage. And now we're about to find out what Malcolm X's real internal problem. See, y'all get somebody behind a microphone and they sound confident and they sound like they got the gift. They got the gift of gab. So they sound like good orators and they sound good. And you're like, oh yeah. And then the white man give him a stamp. And then because the white man wants to denigrate the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, he upholds the student whom he killed, whom the white man killed. He upholds the student over him. So you'll never even know what Elijah Muhammad taught. If you did, you would know it's the most amazing teaching ever brought to Black people, period. The scientific aspects and the structural aspects and the prophetic aspects. Betty had some depths that I knew nothing about until after marriage. I didn't want her to think she had married a good thing. So I let her, of her own free will, continue to work and pay them off. That was one of my main mistakes because she soon wanted me to chauffeur her to work at 6 a.m. every morning, which I outright refused to do. She had other luxurious taste, which I immediately began to curb. I really did keep her in jail financially compared to what she had been used to, which did cause much discontent also at the outset. But the main source of our trouble was based upon sex. Yes, he said it. This is him confidentially revealing to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad his problems with Betty Shabazz. This is not disrespect to Betty Shabazz, but I have to read this so that you can see the real Malcolm. She placed a great deal more stress upon it than I was physically capable of doing. Please forgive me for this topic, but I feel compelled to tell you of it and would tell it to no one else but you. At a time when I was going all out to try and keep her satisfied sexually, one day she told me that we were incompatible sexually because I had never given her any real satisfaction. This is Malcolm X's problem. This is his real issue. In all the bravado and the lies and the attempts to discredit the messenger, we about to find out what was really going on in Malcolm X. From then on, try as I may, I began to become very cool towards her, meaning cold. I didn't even again feel right, free with her in that sense, meaning sexually. For no matter how happy she would act, I see it only as a pretense, like she was faking. She could sense that she was losing her hold over me, which by nature made her then begin to resort to various female tricks to try and get around the barrier that was becoming between us. She would become furious when she couldn't exercise her will over mine and resort to pouting, crying, and every other tactic. But the gap just got wider and wider. That's not it. There's more. There's more. Hold on. I'm going to read the whole thing. I don't want you to miss anything. And we're going to kill this whole argument so at least the people will know the truth. That's the most important thing. Everything else is no. It's easier for a woman to pretend than for a man. She stayed miserable during her expectancy, and those were the 9 most miserable months of my life too. She often cursed the day she married and of being pregnant. And she cursed me too. I don't blame her in that sense, because instead of trying to pacify baby her during those fits, I just withdrew further from her. It was not that I didn't have love and compassion for her, but that she was driving me just as crazy as she was acting. Many a night, she screamed and hollered until 5 o'clock in the morning. And I know the neighbors and other Muslims in the house must know it, though they don't speak of it. So I never tried to hide it. One of the things that made it worse, all right, was my not intending to be ruled by a woman. And most of the times when she would be throwing fits purposely, it would make me so cold-hearted and drive me so far away from her that when her fit was for real, it was difficult for her to break through the wall that I had erected. Things got so bad between us that I stopped sleeping in the same bed with her the last 3 months of her pregnancy, until 3 months after her pregnancy, when she returned from Chicago. We were far apart when she went to Chicago for those 2 weeks. She would always talk of packing her bag and leaving, until I started agreeing with her that I think it's best to. Then she changed, which made me really see that much of her screaming was just plain female characteristics, and that she was always talking about getting a divorce, until I started agreeing. Then again, I see the same reaction. This made me reach the conclusion that she just used that to upset me. Wherever she is leaving, whenever she is leaving for a vacation somewhere, especially Chicago, then she gets very lovey-dovey, confessing all of her faults and promising to do better when she returns. And I think she always really means it. I had stopped all sexual relations with her. Shortly after her return from Chicago, she said to me that if I didn't watch out, she was going to embarrass me and herself, which, under questioning, she later said she was going to seek satisfaction elsewhere. So I renewed relations with her after 6 months of abstinence. Again, she this time outright told me that I was impotent. Now imagine psychologically, you got a woman telling you that you impotent. You don't satisfy her. But in your mind and to the world, you're Malcolm X. How are you psychologically living that out? You know how you psychologically are living that out. You're going to have a false conflagration of an attempt to gain power, because your woman is telling you that you're weak and you can't satisfy her. That's got to be a hell of a thing to hear that coming out of a woman's mouth, and you thinking you Malcolm X. I'm big bad Malcolm X. She's like, no, you're not. You're impotent. And even though I could father a child, I was like an old man. She was telling him he was like an old man, not able to engage in the act long enough to satisfy her. I had a frank discussion with her and told her for the first time that this was the source of all our troubles. Her remarks like this were very heartbreaking to me and would be to any other man. I explained that even if a woman thinks a man is not a man sexually, she should never tell him that, especially her husband, because from then on, he will always think she is pretending no matter how she acts, and will take the whole act as just another waste of time. No matter what she says after that, the words have such a strong psychological effect that it stays on my mind as a man. And by you being a man, I think you can understand what I mean. So he's going on. Hold on. There's more. But hold on. Let me take a pause for a second. Let me take a pause. Now, for those of you who were in belief, all right, were in belief that, hold on, let me do this, because I got to keep going, because y'all, I know how y'all get. I know how y'all get. Hold on. I know how y'all get. Let me find this. Let me find these birth certificates and censuses, since y'all don't think. All right. Let me find these birth certificates and censuses. See, y'all not gonna get away. I'm not gonna leave nothing for you to say. I'm not gonna leave nothing for you to say. All right. 1940 federal census. Yes, I went to the damn census because I want you to see. This is Joseph Rosary from Boston, Massachusetts. All right. And he has a daughter named Lucille, who is 9 years old in 1940. That means she was born in 1931, 6 years after Malcolm. That means if she was born in 1931, in 1964, she was 33, just like I showed you a few minutes ago. That's Lucille. All right. Evelyn was 30. All right. She was born in 1934. All right. Mother Tynetta was, you got Sister Jean, Sister Ola, older women. Mother Tynetta was the youngest, born in 1941. Where are the teenage secretaries? Where is the pedophile? How come I'm bringing records, right? Look, I know how, see, this is how dumb people are. Some of y'all are so stupid, you'll still go and do whatever you want to do. You don't care how many records get brought, because you just hate Elijah Muhammad that much. And that's fine. But you'll never be able to stand before the public and call our messenger a pedophile. All right? You'll never be able to stand before the world and call our messenger of Allah a pedophile. You'll never be able to stand before the world and say Malcolm X told the truth. Never. I got a lot more to say, but I just got to pause on that because this pedophile thing is dead. It's dead. It's been dead, but it should be deader than dead now. I don't care if you apologize now. It's too late. It's too late. Because you ran with your big mouth out into the public and slandered this brother. All right? And so what I'm saying to you is this. For those of us who have sense, for all the young people who was watching those videos by those two guys, if you're watching this and you now see the truth and you see that whatever other critique you got of Islam, that's fine. But if you were agreeing and believing that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad was a pedophile, that is an absolute lie. And everybody who shared it, the initial person who stated it, knows he had zero facts to back up that bullshit claim. Next, you can share it with the other people who still believe the pedophile claim. The next thing that you need to know is that Malcolm X is a liar. Malcolm X is an absolute liar. He's an absolute liar. I don't care how many quotes that Sarah Suit said he give. I don't care how many quotes that Young Pharaoh give. I don't care how many videos that they played in their little dumbass Islamic about to kill Islam series. Every time you played Malcolm X and he talked about young teenage secretaries and whatever else he was slandering, he forgot to mention that he was the one fornicating with the women. He forgot to mention that. And he jumped on the occasion because he knew what he had done. He knew what he had written. Look at how cool Elijah Muhammad was. Did Elijah Muhammad ever come out and say, bro, you can't even keep your own wife happy? Nope. Nope. Why? Because Elijah Muhammad wasn't into exposing that and bringing his affairs into the, he wasn't into that. He looking at Malcolm in amazement like, bruh, I built you up, sent you out to be before the people in the cause of Allah, in the cause of your ancestors, in the cause of your people. You bite me in the back like that. You bite me in the back like that. All right. And so now let's go to the next order of business, because there were more lies told. You lied on Minister Farrakhan too. Let me show you where you lied. Yeah, you lied on Minister Farrakhan. You did. You did. You lied on the minister. Look at this. Look at this two-stepping, bold-faced lie. Look at it. Let me show you how these conscious Negroes operate. Farrakhan writes, judge on Khalid Muhammad. All right. So when Khalid was demoted from his post, this article was used by Pharaoh to say that Minister Farrakhan went to the white man, a judge, and wrote a letter against Khalid. And he tried to group it in the time frame of the 1993 and 4 King College incident and then removal from his post. When this particular issue, now I'm going to read what he said. Louis Farrakhan kicked Khalid Muhammad out of the NOI for speaking harshly about white Jews. Farrakhan even wrote a white judge condemning Brother Khalid's speech. Ha! Look, I want to show. So now if he read this article, because I got this article, right? He did read it. So I know how he thinks now. He intentionally tried to connect two events that are separated by 7 years and then use the backside of it to slander Minister Farrakhan. If the white man is the devil, what did Khalid say wrong? Truth only hurts those who deny it. Rest in peace, Khalid Muhammad. We love you. Man, you don't love Khalid Muhammad. Khalid Muhammad, if he was alive, would smack the shit out of you for lying the way that you did. Even if Khalid Muhammad disagreed with things that the minister was doing at certain times, that doesn't give you the warrant to contrive a story and to connect two events that are completely separate. So now that's your screenshot. Now I'm going to show the real article so that people can know what actually happened and how you contrived this whole argument, and you're plastering this stuff over social media, bro. So now you call a man a pedophile. You are absolutely 1000% wrong with no evidence. And the last video, and definitely this video, proves you completely wrong. And you'll never be man enough to apologize. You'll never be man enough to apologize. You ain't built like that. You got 0 receipts. Then your main man, Malcolm X, I got him lying. His own letter, his own words condemn him. So all those videos you shared, all those people you deceived, you're showing who you are. So let me show you the real article. Let me show you the real article. Let me show you the article. Undoctored. Undoctored. Let me show you. Let me show you the undoctored article. Hold on. Let me show you the undoctored article. Let's see. All right, that's not what I want. That's what I want right there. All right, let me show you the undoctored article. Same article, Washington Post. Watch this. All right, so you can see Washington Post. Look at the date on it, February 6, 1994. All right, so let's read this and let's put this letter that he's talking about into context so you can know exactly why that letter was wrote and how it was in support of Khalid Muhammad in 1987. It had no connection to no 1993 King College speech or the removal of Khalid from his post. All right. All right, so my page is freezing up. All right, that's cool. I'll figure this out. Give me a moment. My page is freezing up a sec. I'll switch this to another mode even if I have to. All right, so here we go. Former high-ranking Nation of Islam spokesman Khalid Abdul Muhammad, demoted by nation leader Louis Farrakhan for his harsh criticism of Jews, Catholics, and others, told a packed auditorium tonight that his punishment does not signify a split within the organization despite the wishes of our enemies. In his second speech, since Farrakhan rebuked him Thursday, Muhammad also told a cheering crowd, "I did not come to Baltimore to teach black people to hate white people, but I did come here to teach you to love your black brothers." All right, let's keep going. I want you to see this whole article so that you don't have to make up nothing. All right. Although his words could not make blacks hate whites, he said the 400 years of slavery and abuse and misuse that blacks have suffered under whites could cause hatred. If all the white folks have done to you hasn't made you hate them, deeds and actions speak louder than words. All right, let's keep going. Muhammad was one of a series of speakers in a two-day salute to slain black leader Malcolm X in conjunction with Black History Month. The tribute was led by Baltimore psychiatrist Patricia Newton. At tonight's event, at which about 400 people were turned away, she welcomed the standing room only audience by saying, "We come in love, peace, and harmony." In his talk, Muhammad said he and Farrakhan have been wrongly accused of racism and intolerance. He said that Malcolm X, the progenitor of the Nation of Islam, set an example of tolerance which members of the organization follow today. All right, let's keep going. Speaking to a mostly black audience in a rented 375-seat auditorium at Baltimore City Community College, Muhammad described Farrakhan as his spiritual father, whose punishment he has accepted. All right. This is the most difficult and trying time in my life, he said, but I am a soldier. I follow a divine chain of command. All right. Would love to see a split in the hierarchy of the organization, but there is no division, he said. There is no Khalid Muhammad without Louis Farrakhan. You can't separate us. You will not hear one word against Louis Farrakhan here. Muhammad was publicly reprimanded Thursday by Farrakhan for describing Jews, Catholics, homosexuals, and others in vile and repugnant language during a November 29th speech at King College in Union, New Jersey. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can get through this article. It's kind of slow. Gotta let it scroll up. But Farrakhan distanced himself only from the tone of the comments, not their content. Quote, I stand by the truths he spoke, but condemn in the strongest terms the manner in which those truths were represented, Farrakhan said. So that's one thing. You try to make it look like Mr. Farrakhan came out and dissed Khalid at this particular moment when against white people, when he said he stood by the truths that he spoke. It's just the tone that he spoke them in. And at that speech, Khalid was mocking them. I'm not going to say whether that was right or wrong. That's not my place. But Minister Farrakhan stood by those truths. He did not elaborate on which of Muhammad's assertions he agreed with. While condemning Muhammad's delivery, Farrakhan praised his dedication, saying he was brilliant, highly gifted, committed to helping black people. Farrakhan said he had stripped Muhammad of his role as a top spokesman and national assistant in the organization's Chicago headquarters. The Nation of Islam's leaders' action came after a firestorm of criticism erupted over Muhammad's comments, particularly from the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith, but also from African-American leaders nationally. All right, see if we can get this up. I'm about to get to the part where Khalid Muhammad in 1987 got locked up for this issue. All right. Although Farrakhan and other Nation of Islam leaders have been accused over the years of making racist and anti-Semitic statements, the organization also has won praise from some big city leaders for its efforts in developing black business and campaigning against drugs. In his King College speech, Muhammad called Jews bloodsuckers of the black nation and the Pope a no-good cracker. He also called on black South Africans to kill everything white 24 hours after a black majority takes power in South Africa. Controversy has swirled around Muhammad, a fiery orator and fundraiser for the Nation of Islam for years. Check this out. He was convicted of fraud in federal court in Atlanta in 1987, and 2 universities have questioned his academic credentials. So this 1987 case is the case dealing with the judge. He is a frequent speaker at a wide variety of institutions, including historically black Morgan State University in Baltimore and Columbia University in New York. Nation of Islam officials will not respond to reporters' requests for biographical information on Muhammad. He was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment and served about 1 year for his fraud conviction. It was a conviction for mortgage fraud. After his sentencing, U.S. District Judge J. Owen Forrester said he had received a letter from Farrakhan vowing that Muhammad would not be allowed to continue teaching within the Nation of Islam ministry. Did the minister uphold that? He basically told that dude that to show that the community was giving him some type of punishment and being cordial with the judge. What did Minister Farrakhan do when Khalid Muhammad came out? Khalid Muhammad became the national spokesperson. So that letter from Minister Farrakhan in reference to Khalid Muhammad was in reference to a 1987 fraud case. It had absolutely no connection to the 1993 King College incident. None whatsoever. In fact, Khalid Muhammad came out with a higher position after this letter to the judge. So you made it look like in your post that he had been dismissed after this letter was written to a judge. That means that this is what this tells me. You came at Polite for being an intentional deceiver of the people. That's what you came at Polite for. And you went step by step to try to prove that Umar Johnson is a deceiver of the people. whether any people agree with you or not. Now we're looking at you and we know that you are a deceiver of the people. You'll go to any length to get some attention. Any length, including lying on a deified ancestor, disrespecting the women who came out in his defense, even though you teach that the black woman is God. You will go and you will malign those women and say, I don't care what they say. And you did it for the sake of a dude who is now, if he was never known as one, is a certified liar. And I'm talking about Malcolm X. And he's just what the messenger said he was, a hypocrite. So all of you black people who love Malcolm, you are politely dismissed from my cipher. Don't come to my page. Don't come in. You don't have to come to nothing I'm involved with if you got a problem with that. Because I stand on that for the rest of my life, that he was a chump and a sucker. Because no man gets involved in the affairs of another man's household. You stay your dumb ass out of that. You ain't got nothing to do with another man's household, regardless of what's going on. Then you take it and you lie, and you knew you was the one out here that was fornicating with those women 5 years ago when they got marched out of the mosque. You made it look like they got marched out of the mosque because they was fornicating with Elijah Muhammad. And you wrote it in a letter. So you, Pharaoh, and Malcolm X belong together. Y'all make a good couple. And all this research skills that all y'all supposed to have, y'all couldn't look this up. And then when y'all do find this stuff, y'all twist it and turn it just because y'all so engrossed. Listen, let me break this down to you. I'm gonna tell you what the problem is. This is real easy. This ain't that deep. The black nationalists, which y'all ain't really black nationalists, the conscious community, which y'all not really conscious, y'all ain't conscious. Y'all have had a problem with envy and jealousy with members of the Nation of Islam even before Malcolm. Y'all used to hate Malcolm. And the issue is envy. That's all it is. Because the nation has been making progress its whole time in the United States of America. And despite any challenges, despite any deviation from Imam Warith D. Muhammad, despite Scientology, those of us who know the truth, we don't fuck with that dumb stuff. And if you, I'm sorry if you got children watching, I have to say what it is. We don't mess with that. We don't need it. The progress and the promise of Allah in person and his messenger is enough. That is enough. And the reality of what we have been taught about our own godhood, it wasn't taught to us for a feel-good session. It was taught to us to give us the optimal level of responsibility as human beings. When somebody removes a mystery God and they put you in the seat to be responsible for yourself, you now have no excuses. You don't have no excuses. So the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad remove excuses from black people. You can't blame the white man anymore because you know who he is. You can't blame the mystery God. You can't blame no prophets. You can't even blame Master Fard Muhammad or the messenger or anybody else. You are stuck looking at a mirror, and he asked the question, what else can another one do after me, after I've brought you face to face with God? And so regardless to how y'all black nationalist people who are not building no nation, or y'all conscious community people who don't have no community feel, your real issue is that you are envious. You are envious of the works of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and all those associated with him. You're envious. That's the real root. You use Malcolm as a crutch. Now I just threw your crutch into hell. Yeah, the biblical mystery hell. I threw it into that. Now you're not going to be able to use that. Now what you're going to do? The only thing you can do is just keep slandering. Oh, Islam was made from Freemasonry. I'm not done. I'm about to deal with that too. What time is it? I want to stay within my time frame. All right, good. Because I do have real stuff to do. Islam is from Freemasonry. Islam was developed in 1872. The Quran was written by Jews in 1919. Mecca was just built in the 19th. Yo, I mean, are y'all listening to this? These are y'all historians? These are y'all top teachers? Bruh, I can take my 10-year-old son with a knowledge of self that he has, and his knowledge of the 1 to 36 and the student enrollment and the basic things that he's been taught, and defeat these ridiculous statements. But I'm gonna take my time and do it. You know why? Because there's new people watching and they might think, oh yeah, that's true. Islam was started by Freemasons. Islam is not African. So let me deal with it. Let me deal with it, this last part. And good. Let me deal with this last part. And let me say this. I'm going to say this straight up. I did 2 videos, right? The first one was an olive branch, right? I was peaceful. I didn't say nothing. This one is, I'm not doing no more videos. And let me warn you of this. See, because Elijah Muhammad can't protect himself because he's gone from amongst us. I can protect myself. I can defend him. He's not going to come from nowhere and defend himself. So let me give you some man talk, because I already know how y'all operate. But I'm going to show you how we operate. Go in the public. This is what I'm giving you. I dare you to go in the public, right? And try to insinuate in any shape, form, or fashion. Any shape, form, or fashion. That you think you're going to continue to slander Elijah Muhammad the way that you did. I dare you to keep doing it. I dare you. I dare you for the rest of your days using your little YouTube in some little back room wherever you at. I dare you to open your mouth about Elijah Muhammad again. Go ahead, do it. Oh, is he threatening? Absolutely not. But go ahead and do it. Keep opening your mouth about Elijah Muhammad and watch where it gets you. Keep opening. We're going to watch you. The whole world going to see it. There's no cause for you opening your mouth about that man. You would have never heard one peep out of me at all, because I don't deal with you dudes. But you're not going to keep slandering this most important man in Black history for the rise of Black people. That means you're trying to block the success of our nation and the rise of our people, which is prayers from our ancestors who suffered the worst conditions that any human beings have ever suffered. That means you're trying to get in between the salvation of Black people that was prayed down into the wombs of Black women to birth us and Elijah Muhammad. That's what you're trying to block. It ain't going down like that, homie. And so, you know what? We gave y'all a free pass. All of y'all. You know, y'all just think y'all could say, and I used to be around y'all. You know, I came in because I wanted to keep the name of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad clean, because I knew y'all was going to try to dirty it up. All of you anti-Islamic people, all of y'all in New York, wherever y'all at, y'all the same. It's y'all use Elijah Muhammad when it's convenient. But I'm telling y'all, leave the man alone. Leave him alone. This should end all of that. Leave the man alone. There's nothing. If you want to critique Islam, go ahead. No problem with that. We have dialogues about history and all of that. That's all fun. That's all sparring. Men do that. But all of this undercutting, and then, you know, we cool. Nah, bro. That's it. If any FOI has any ounce of testosterone, you're gonna stop letting people disrespect your messenger. You're gonna stop letting people disrespect your messenger. That's all I gotta say about that part. All right, so let me close this out. Let me close this out. As a matter of fact, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I ain't even going there with y'all. I don't even have to prove that Islam was not created by Freemasons. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just get grown on you. This is what I want to do. If you want to find out about that, here you go. There you go. I'm not wasting my time. Listen, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do, because I got stuff to do. I don't have time for this. Right? I don't have time for it. There's real things going on in life. But I'm gonna show you your solution. If you want to know the history of Islam, right? You go to governmentreparations.org, go to the store, and you get this book. This is a 437-page dissertation. I have all major primary documentation in here. All right? I got the first time the name Muhammad was written down ever. I debunk all Arab BS that has been placed in the history. All of it. Y'all can follow the Arabs all y'all want. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said he wouldn't give 2 cents Lincolns for all of their scholarship. His father, arguing with him in his own house, saying that, and then he went to the white reporters. This is the youngest son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and said that his father had a homemade religion. Your father sent you to Al Azhar in Cairo to collect information for your nation, spent the money of the brothers and sisters who give to the #2 poor charity. And that's what you come back with? That's what you come back with? I dare any of you who followed Wallace D. Muhammad or Waratha D. Muhammad or any of his brothers and sisters who went over into the Sunni community. I dare any of you to come over on this side against a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We will wipe you clean in the sands of Arabia, with the truth of history. So if y'all want the truth, y'all could go right to this material. And I say documented facts and primary resources. I'm not dealing with speculation in YouTube videos. I'm dealing with the actual papyri. All right? Dated papyri. All right? Primary resources. When there weren't even, Freemason wasn't even a word, because there was no English spoken by anybody on the planet. All right? And if we want to look at those primary documentations and see that the Islam that came about in the 7th and 8th century, we don't have to use Arab hadith that came 200 years later. We have it in stone. We have it on coins. We have it on markers for roads. We have it everywhere inside of this book to show you Islam, the real Muhammad, not the Arab Muhammad, the real one of history, and anything else you want to know to show you that Islam did not come about in 1919. And that no Jews wrote the Quran. In fact, Jewish people know how much the Quran exposes them. And in truth, Arabs do too. In truth, Arabs do too. This is the classroom that you got to get in that the messenger was talking about. Muhammad was not an Arab. He was not an Arab. So all of this stuff, oh, you following Arabs and you're not African? The Quran itself is an anti-Arab book. Challenge me. Bring all your best scholars. The messenger of this book, Quran, is not Arab. Not only is he not Arab, he is against Arabs. Him, his generals, and everybody else. Anything that the Arabs wrote, hadith, anything that they wrote. Let me show you how deep the generals were against the Arabs. All right. This is Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, the general of the real Muhammad. And he said this about the writings and the poetry of the Arabs. Quote, this concerns the Rijaz of the Arabs. By Allah, if I find anyone who will read it, I will kill him, and I will even rub his misrepresented writings with a side of pork. This is a black man right here talking about the Arabs and their writings. This is before the manifestation of the full hadith when the Abbasids came in. They had already started their slander campaign against the original black Muslims. This is whole histories that you don't know, whole geographies that you don't know. Mecca was never the place until later. This black general went into Mecca and burned down that particular place. The location that's mentioned in the Quran in Baka was not even there. You're going to have a whole nother class on history because you don't know nothing, man. You just out here popping your pork chops. And that's all that's happening. And so we don't have time for this. But for the brothers and sisters who are Muslims, I wanted you to see that Malcolm X was a certified liar. I know that Minister Farrakhan has to be way more diplomatic than I've been in the way that I've shared. I don't have to be diplomatic. I have no ties to large levels of people in the public who have, you know, all kind of sincere, heartfelt feelings toward Malcolm X. I don't care. I'll never have to deal with that, none of that. My life will be very simple and closed off in the things that I do with my own private family. But Malcolm X was a liar. That's the point. He lied. Not only did he lie, he knew the women. And he was sleeping with one of the women and broke her heart. And oh, what is the messenger? Oh, why were some of these women called prostitutes in the newspaper? They were called prostitutes because they sided with a hypocrite. Now, I'm not going to talk deeper into this subject, but whoever the messenger said he was married to, Whoever he said he had children from, whoever he acknowledged, that's who he was married to. I'm not going to say anything else about that. But if you ally with a hypocrite against the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he's saying what he's saying, I'm rolling with Elijah because I just proved Malcolm was a hypocrite. And I just proved at least one of those women were fornicating with him. And he admitted it. And she thought she was going to marry him, and he ended up marrying Betty. And look what it got him. Even though you can make enough pictures and flyers and say Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz and put them up as iconic figures, their marriage was cow dung. And it was because of that illicit behavior from him that he tried to put back on the messenger that had nothing to do with the messenger. And so if women allied with him temporarily and they made false accusations against the messengers, it wasn't the messenger who called them that, but the brother who wrote the article. And so now there's no question about pedophilia, being a pedophile. There's no question about underage girls. All that's dead. And yes, Malcolm X is a liar. And no, Islam was not started by Freemasons. Go do y'all, all of y'all, thousands of people who might be watching some of these people. You know what you're called? You call sheep. You're called sheep in the scriptures. And you're called the 85%. Easily led in the wrong direction, hard to lead in the right. All right? That's who you are. You're mentally dead, just like the messenger said. You don't do no fact checking on these people. They could come, drop a video, and they got all of y'all in a tidal wave of ignorance. And they're doing it for points and popularity and whatever else they're doing it for. They're not doing it because they're, sincere and they want to see justice for Malcolm X. These people don't care about Malcolm X. What's their concern with Malcolm X? They're not concerned. They're not concerned with nobody. They're concerned with their own popularity. All right. And so this case is solved. All right. All right. Yeah, I can see. All right. And so I'm done. As it pertains to Dr. Khalid Muhammad and Malcolm X, that's two different scenarios. People always try to group those two things together. One had nothing to do with the other. It's just convenient for the propaganda. All right. Malcolm's issue was he lied and he was all invested into the life of another man. Dr. Khalid Muhammad's issue was simple. The teachings say this, and are we going away from it? He asked some legitimate questions. All right. Whether the people who are with Mr. Farrakhan now agree with Dr. Khalid or not is really unimportant because the man is dead. But Dr. Khalid never went and spoke about the Mr. Farrakhan or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's personal life. He wasn't that kind of dude. Whether you agree with his decisions to challenge the minister on points about white people and other things, that's on you. You could deal with that. I have nothing to do with that. All right? Because all these dramatic arguments don't get us anywhere. If you want to find me, I'll be somewhere on a farm planting some food so I can feed my family, or writing some books for my children, or doing something else. All of this stuff is just, it's a mess. And y'all like mess. And so I'll leave y'all in the mess. But if you speak a word against the messenger of Allah, you're going to see me show up. And I'm just showing up right now on YouTube. That's it. I have nothing else to say. Thank you for your time tonight. As-Salaamu Alaikum.